Have you ever found yourself wondering if a lifelong partnership should be guided more by your head or by your heart? Well, today we're diving into a story that's basically a perfect case study for that exact question. We're going to explore two really powerful and conflicting ideas about what love is all about. So let's just get right to the heart of it. When it comes to finding a partner, should you be approaching it like a venture capitalist, looking for the best possible return on investment? Or are you more like a romantic poet, just searching for a soulmate? Is love a practical, logical deal, or is it a fairy tale?
In the story we're looking at today, this whole debate is perfectly captured by two very different men who are trying to win over the same woman, Alysé. So, on one side, you've got Team Logic. Its champion is this brilliant businessman, Kian, who sees relationships as just a calculated exchange. And on the other side, we've got Team Romance, represented by Alysé's fiancé, the tennis superstar Ryan, who believes love is all about that shared history, that deep passion.
Okay, so let's dig into the case for pragmatism first. And we'll do that through Kian. He is the perfect champion for Team Logic. He views pretty much the whole world through this lens of pure, unfiltered economics. Wow, this quote just lays his whole philosophy bare, doesn't it? For him, love isn't some mystical, magical force. Nope, it's a market. A simple exchange where assets, like beauty and money, they just find their natural balance. What the rest of us might call romance, he literally dismisses as nothing more than a seasonal infection. And this is what it's called. This formalizes his way of thinking. And look, it's not just him being cynical. It's a totally coherent, even if kind of cold worldview. A transactional relationship basically runs on the logic of a business deal. You have clear expectations, you have mutual benefit, and you completely avoid all those messy, unpredictable emotions. And he really puts his money where his mouth is. When he proposes to Alysé, he actually tells her to skip all the nonsense of dating and potential heartbreak. His pitch is just pure efficiency. It's like, why waste all this time on an emotional roller coaster when we can just sign the deal right now and get started building an empire? It is the most pragmatic offer you can possibly imagine.
But hey, a good debate needs two sides. So now let's pivot and look at the complete opposite worldview, the case for romance, as personified by Alysé's fiancé, Ryan.
Unlike Kian's, let's say, clinical proposal, Ryan and Alysé's connection is built on a decade of deep, shared history. They started as childhood friends, became each other's first love. She even sacrificed her own exams to support him during his Wimbledon campaign. Their bond is forged in time and mutual sacrifice, not on some balance sheet. And their commitment to each other totally reflects this. This isn't a business contract. We're talking about a lifelong vow. These words, yours for life, that's pretty much the anthem for Team Romance. It speaks to a bond that's unconditional, permanent, and is meant to get through anything.
And get this, to win over her father, Ryan doesn't show up with a financial statement. No, he gives him the most valuable thing he owns, at least in sentimental terms, his very first Grand Slam trophy. It's a gesture that says, I'm giving you the symbol of my entire life's struggle and triumph. And that's a kind of value that Team Logic could never, ever compute.
So, okay, we've got two perfectly opposed philosophies. But how do they hold up when theory slams into reality? A crisis is the ultimate stress test. So let's see what happens when their world gets turned completely upside down. And we're not just talking about one crisis. This is a full-on perfect storm. First, they launch a high-stakes business together. Then, a global pandemic hits and just halts the entire world. And finally, as if that's not enough, Ryan gets a life-threatening illness. And the pandemic, it just reveals their core natures. Kian, the pragmatist, sees an opportunity. He co-founds a food delivery app called Tomato and builds an empire. Ryan, the romantic, sees suffering. He becomes a caregiver for the sick, putting his own life on the line and just trying to comfort people. And honestly, if you were just looking at the numbers, the verdict would be pretty obvious. Team Logic is absolutely crushing it. The Tomato app is a massive success. We're talking over 1 million orders. Meanwhile, their tennis franchise, their shared romantic dream, it's completely stalled. 0. On paper, pragmatism looks like the clear winner. But here we see the profound personal cost of Ryan's path. While Kian is busy counting his profits, Ryan is counting losses of a totally different kind. This quote just captures his complete emotional breakdown after losing a patient. His empathy, the very core of his romantic worldview, is also the source of his greatest pain.
So, after all the arguments, all the successes, and the heartbreaks, it's finally time for the verdict. When Alysé makes her final choice, which philosophy actually wins?
At first, the answer seems pretty clear. With Ryan in a coma, Alysé and Kian partner up, and together they turn Tomato into this global powerhouse. Their logical, efficient partnership works flawlessly. It feels like the perfect proof of concept for team logic.
But then, the twist. Ryan wakes up, and despite the incredible success she has built with Kian, despite the logical perfection of their partnership, Alysé makes her choice. She chooses Ryan. In the end, that decade of shared history, that emotional connection, it outweighs the entire empire they built. Team romance takes the trophy.
And what really cements the outcome is that the concession comes from the champion of logic himself. Kian, in his final thoughts, admits defeat. And he frames it in the only language he really knows, competition. He acknowledges that Ryan won both the championship and the girl. He even invokes that classic song about love and loss, admitting that in this game, the winner really does take it all. So this story gives us a clear winner. It champions connection over calculation. But we all know that real life is rarely that simple. In that constant tug of war between our hearts and our minds, is there really a right answer? Or is the true victory actually found somewhere in the balance? I'll leave you with that. What's your verdict?